Welcome to our Intro to Canvas webinar series. Today we are going to be looking at Gradebook and Speedgrader. Just for a little bit of housekeeping, this session will be recorded. I will be sharing my screen. I will keep you all muted, but you may unmute yourself to ask questions, or you can use the Zoom chat feature. Emily is also here to help answer questions. I'm Mary Jane Murphy-Bowne. Emily Course is also here with me today. We are from the Instructional Design and Technology Department. Our contact information is listed here if you should need to get in touch with us for further information after our webinar today. There are a couple more webinars coming up. To access those, you can go to this website, go to events, and then workshops to find out more about upcoming webinars. This is today's agenda. We will be looking specifically at gradebook settings, weighted assignment groups, and grade release settings. We also look at how to use Speedgrader, the annotation features, and ways to add comments and scores. Finally, we will look at the student view of the gradebook so that you know what students can see when they are looking for their grades. So here we are in a sample course. And the first thing that I want to point out to you is weighted assignment groups. Weighted assignment groups in Canvas is the same thing as weighted assignment categories was in Sakai if you're a Sakai user. Now, probably one of the most confusing things is you would think to get to the weighting, you would go to grades, but in Canvas, you're actually going to go to the assignment tabs. That's where we set up the weighted groups rather than in the grade tab. So I'm going to go to the assignments tool. You're going to see all of the assignments associated with this course. So anything entered in this course associated with the grades will automatically come and be grouped into one big assignment category. I want to point out the little icons to you. The icons next to the assignments indicate the type of assignment. So the little thing that looks like paper is a typical paper submission or assignment. The rocket ship indicates a quiz, and the little speech bubbles indicate a discussion assignment. Now, in order to set up weighted assignments, we need to split these up into separate groups. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is add some group categories. So right now we just have assignments, but let me add a couple different categories. I will do that by hitting the plus group. So I'm going to add a case study. Analysis category. They're just going down at the bottom. I'm going to add a discussions category. I'm going to add a reading quiz check category. And then the last category that I want is a papers category. So I'm just going to change the name of this one so you know how to do that as well into my papers category. So what I'm going to go do is go over to the three dots at the far right, click on that, and I'm going to pick the edit pencil. That's going to allow me to change that category to papers. Okay, so now I have stuff in the papers category that doesn't belong there. So I can just grab the items that don't belong there and move them into the proper place. So let me take my case studies first. I'm going to grab on the little dots, pull that down into case studies, case study 1. Here is my discussion, pull into discussions, and I'll pull the reading check into the reading check category. So now all that's left in papers is just the 2 papers. So we have our categories set up, but we don't have them weighted yet. So that's the next thing that we're going to want to do. In order to do that, I'm going to come back up to the top, go to the 3 dots to the right of plus assignment here. I'm going to select assignment groups weight. You need to check the box that says weight final grade based on assignment groups. And then it gives you the assignment groups and you can add the percentages. So I'm going to make papers 30%, case studies going to be 40%, my discussions will be 20, and my reading quizzes will be 10. So that gives me a total of 100%, which is what you want. I will save those, and you'll now see that at each of my groups there is a weighting indicated. I'm going to show you another setting that we can do with our group category. Let's say you're going to give a lot of reading quizzes and you want to be able to let the students drop their lowest score. You can certainly do that and set that up ahead of time and then not have to worry about the math. Again, we're going to click on the 3 dots, select Edit, and in this section right here, we can indicate that we are going to drop the one quiz with the lowest score. Save that, and now you'll see right here that there is a rule associated with the reading quizzes. So that's to remind you that you are and when you hover over, you can actually see that you're dropping one of the lowest scores. So I just want to point out to you, when you set up these categories, Canvas is going to do the math for you. If you look at my papers category, each of my papers are worth 100 points. So they will both equally contribute to the 30% total. If the midterm paper was worth less, that would be calculated to contribute less to the 30%. So no math on your part. Canvas will be doing the math for you. Let me show you too, now that you do have categories set up, when you're setting up a new assignment, you can put it directly into the proper category rather than shuffling things around. So let's say we're gonna make a new discussion. Okay, so by looking at the type, I'm going to click on that drop-down box, and now I can pick the discussion group, and when I create this new discussion, it will be added right to that group automatically without me having to shuffle around or organize. Let me stop now and see if there are any questions on weighted grades and how to group them in assignments. Let's move over now to our Gradebook View. So I'm going to select our Grades tool, and that takes us to our Gradebook View. You're going to see all the individual items that we've added on the left. And then at the far right, you'll see the percentages. So if there were things evaluated here already, you would see which each student, how they're doing in each of the categories towards their grade. Now you may have noticed that our account navigation bar is still here, but our course navigation bar is missing. And Canvas does that to give you, as much space as possible on your gradebook. But if you want your course level navigation site back, it's right here with these 3 lines. If you click on it, it comes right back, and there you go. Now I want to have you take a look at the gradebook release settings. Generally, we recommend that you manually release your grades so that they're not visible to the students until you're ready for them to be seen. The default on Canvas is for grades to be released as soon as you enter them. Well, when you're entering grades, sometimes you make a mistake and you don't want a million emails about a mistaken grade. So if you change the settings to manual release, then they are only visible to the students when you are ready. To do that, going to select the little gear here on the right. You're going to move to your grading posting policy. It opens up on late policies, but go to the grading posting policy. And ordinarily, this is set at automatically post grades, which means as soon as you submit them, students get the notification that they are there and are visible. What we suggest is that you select manually post grades, and then students will not be able to see them until you post them. And you'll see that each of my items are indicating that they are manual, and that is to remind me that I will need to release them later on. There are several other settings that we will not have time to go over today, but there's a lot of things that you can do with Gradebook. So if there's some specific needs for your course, please feel free to contact us so that we can help you set them up. Let's move on now to how to grade an assignment using Speedgrader. Okay, so there's a lot of options for accessing Speedgrader. Let me take you back to our home page. First of all, on the home page, you'll see that you have a little to-do list here. And in the to-do list, you can see that I have 2 case studies that I need to grade. So if I click right on those case studies, that will take me to Speedgrader for that case study assignment. Another way to access Speedgrader is to go right to the assignments or modules, if you use modules. But if I go to assignments, tool, and click directly on the assignment, that's going to take me to Speedgrader itself. And finally, another option is to go from the gradebook itself. Going to look for the assignment name. Click on that. It will take me to the assignment. And then I can select Speedgrader right here. Now, I do want to point out to you that there is one exception where you will not see Speedgrader in this right-hand column, and that is for when you are grading discussions. I'll show you discussions. See? No Speedgrader option. To get to Speedgrader from a discussion, you're going to select the 3 dots, and there's your Speedgrader for discussions. and we'll open up Speedgrader. This is going to open up in a separate tab. So you could still toggle back to the main course. You're in a separate tab here in Speedgrader. So with Speedgrader, the beauty of it, of any document that's uploaded, a PDF or a document, will appear in this inline display, so you don't have to download student work separately. This saves a lot of time. However, if you do want to download student work, you may use this arrow right here, right by the name of the assignment, and that is a way to download the student work if you should so like. The first toolbar that I want to point out to you is our gray toolbar here. This is our annotation toolbar so that you can put comments directly on a document. There are several types of tools. The speech bubble tool allows you to put call out comments. You can change the color here to any that you like. So I can put a comment there, and I can leave a comment for my student automatically. Next feature is our highlight feature. Again, I can choose the color that I want. Maybe I like pink. And I can use that to highlight a portion of the paper. It gives me an option of clicking on a comment box to leave a comment as to why I highlighted that. If you prefer, you can add a text box and write in a comment. And then you have the option, when you have the little plus sign, as to moving that anywhere you would like in the document. If you make a mistake, the trash can is allowing you to erase that comment. Next, we have a strike through option. So it can use to cross out a portion of a document, again leaving a comment as to why you may have done that. And finally, there is a paintbrush option. Again, you have choice of color, and you can write on a document and then leave a comment as to what you are indicating with that circle. The final tool for annotation is this box, and that gives you the option of quickly selecting a whole area and then leaving a comment. So no matter which annotation feature you use, you have the option of adding a comment explaining as to why you annotated that part. These are all automatically saved. I do want to point out too that if you use the Canvas Instructor app, you have access to these annotation tools on mobile devices. And then finally, I also want to point out that if the submission for assignment is a URL, perhaps a website, then you do not have the option of these annotations. If you need a copy of a document that you've annotated, this downward arrow in the left corner will download a annotated PDF. Now you would need, in order to read your comments, you would need to access this electronically. Otherwise, these comments would not be visible. So I can show you what that looks like. So you're seeing my comments here. If you click on them, in electronic version, but obviously this is not too helpful if it's something that you're printing out. Now let's talk about entering a score. I've looked at this paper, I've made my annotations, and I think that Mary Jane deserves 99 on this paper. Okay, so I'm just going to enter that into the box. That is also automatically saved. You'll notice that there's an assignment comment box. Okay, this is a place where you can add a general comment over on the paper. Okay, now these are the only thing that is not automatically saved. So that would have to be submitted in order for that comment to stay. So let me select submit. Okay, you do have some other options other than a written general comment. You can attach a document if that would give some helpful feedback. You can make a media comment, either a audio or video comment to a student, which sometimes students are more likely to read, or more likely to look at and listen to than read your written comments. And then finally, this is a speech to text option. So you could speak your general comment and then it would be translated into text. The other thing I want to point out to you is you'll see this little word hidden here. That is a reminder that we've made this a manual release assignment. So the students, even though you've graded it, still can't see it until you have released it. All right, let's look at the top bar. So to continue grading, you'll see the check mark by Mary Jane's paper now. Okay, we have one other student in this course. The test student has an orange dot. That means test student's paper has not been graded yet. So you can quickly look at, by the downward arrow, you can quickly look at your list of students and see which papers are graded and which ones are not. Okay, so to go to test student, I could just click on the name, or I can click the arrow to get to the next paper. Let me see if there are any other questions before we move on to our student view. So before we move on to our student view, I want to show you the different options that we have to return to the course from Speedgrader. There's a couple. So first, we click on the book. That will take us right back to our grade book. If we click on the assignment name, that will take us to our assignments. And if I click on the course name, that will take us to our home page. So you have some options there to get back. I'm just going to click on Gradebook because that's where we are going next. Okay, so in Gradebook, you'll see that our grades are, we have some grades now visible. We graded one. We have visible in our case study. The little eyeball up here is another reminder that we have not released those grades. So we do need to manually release those grades. So let me show you the way to do that. I'm going to go to the three dots. I'm going to hover over them. That'll take me to this drop-down menu. And I need to select Post Grades. Now I have a choice. Do I want to post them for everyone? Or do I just want to post the ones for the ones that I've completed the grading? If I select everyone, even those who haven't completed the assignment yet, will be able to see their grades and comments. If I select graded, only those students who have a grade or submission comment will be able to see them. Now, checking everyone will override the future manual aspect, and You know, if there were ones that I had not graded yet, as soon as I do, they're automatic and no longer manual. So I will post those grades for everybody. Okay. And now you see the little eyeball has just appeared. So as soon as I do test students' paper, they'll see it automatically. Let's take a look at the student view of our gradebook, which is very, very different than our faculty view. So I'm going to go to our home page and select student view and go to the grades. So we are at the student view of the gradebook. If students have their notifications on, they will receive a notification as soon as the grades are posted. You'll see that the student gradebook view is very, very different than the faculty view. The weighted categories are here on the right. You'll see the individual items listed, and they can be listed in an array of orders up to the student. So we have them now arranged by due date. They could also be arranged by assignment group or title or module if there's modules being used in your course. If you scroll down to the bottom, the students can see how they're doing in each of their weighted categories. And they have a total grade also posted. Now, this can be something that many instructors want turned off, this average course grade. And if you do, we can put the tip sheet for how to do that in the chat box. Let me point out what a couple things mean. The eyeball through the line means the instructor has not posted that grade yet. The little conversation bubbles means that this student has some general comments. So the student can click on that and see what the general comments from the instructor were. Now, to receive the annotations, it's a little more involved. Going to need to select the name of the assignment. So now, in order for the student to view their feedback, they're going to click on the View Feedback button. And now they can see my annotations and comments. This is a little tricky, and sometimes this hangs up students so they don't see your feedback. This may be something that you want to include in your essential course instruction, some information on how students can view feedback, and we do have a tip sheet that you can share with your students if you are interested in helping them to find this feedback and possibly use it more effectively. I want to show you one more thing before we stop for questions. Let me leave the student view. Going back to our gradebook view, I just wanted to point out here that you do not have to enter grades exclusively through Speedgrader, and you can also make adjustments right from Gradebook. So say I wanted to enter a grade, can just click on that and enter the grade out of 100. Okay, without going through Speedgrader. I can also make adjustments to things that I calculate in Speedgrader if need be. So today we've covered how to set up weighted assignment groups, what our gradebook view looks like, how to grade an assignment in Speedgrader and what everything looks like from the student view once things are graded. So thank you for joining us today, and please join us for future webinars or reach out if you have any additional questions.